listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, and original people reciprocity. I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive self-images of original people and original people culture. Welcome all my narrators. Thanks for tapping in today. Hope everybody's doing well on this terrific Tuesday. I know I am. The weather was bomb today where I'm at. Good vibes, good energy today. So I got a pretty decent show for you today. Nothing really too crazy going on in the news. Kind of boring, and I'm kind of glad about that. Nothing too crazy going on in the last few weeks. So yeah, I'm all for that. Be boring as much as possible. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. All my narrators, they already know the demonstration. They already know why I'm doing the podcast, and everything about my format and how I present my content. But for all the newbies that are unfamiliar with me and my platform, how I usually start things out before diving into the content. Is just giving a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. Just give you a brief synopsis of, my platform content and why I'm doing this, my mission statement, and, what I hope to accomplish in this space that I'm occupying. My overall takeaway I want the listener to get. So let's start at the top. Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. I'll get to the original part in a bit. But that's essentially why I created this platform. I wanted to counter the inaccurate portrayal of original people and original people culture within the media. So I want to design a platform where I'm uplifting and edifying original people to counter the way the media tries to tear us down and destroy us and paint us out in a negative light. The media intentionally misrepresents our people and our culture. They want to paint us out to be, low level and intelligent, savage in nature, and degenerate in nature, and criminalistic in nature. And so they just basically want to deviate from our true nature and origin. So, we got to put it back. That's what the Narrative Podcast is all about, is putting it back into perspective. My mission statement is to impress upon, bring awareness to my listening audience of, the importance of utilizing your platforms responsibly to share positive images of original people and original culture. So that's what the Narrative Podcast essentially is all about. I think that's a perfect way perfect segue to my tagline. The Narrator podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So, that's essentially what the Narrator podcast is all about. I provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and I try to inspire the listening audience to do the same by bringing awareness to the listening audience of why it's important to do the same that I do. So next up, I call my listening audience my narrators. And I call my listening audience my narrators because, we're living in a digital information age. We're sharing everything online. Basically, anything that has a wall has some type of feature that allows the user to, upload a status update, enables a feature where you're just basically sharing all your hobbies, interests, beliefs, values. So basically, in essence, you're telling your own story online, whatever platform that you occupy. And another word for telling your own story is narrating your own story. And so, as it pertains to our people, because the media narrates a negative story about our people, we will want to become narrators so we can narrate, the story of who we are as a people in a positive way. So basically, you can be the hero on the line while the media intentionally tries to vilify our people. We can, tell your own story. However you want to tell your story. So what we don't want to do as a people is feed into how the media tells our story. We don't want to feed into the drama. We don't want to feed into the negativity. We don't want to feed into these negative stereotypes and stigmas. We don't want to feed into gangbang culture. We don't want to feed into pimp culture, whore culture, thought culture, F-boy culture. We don't want to feed into drug dealer and drug user culture. So we don't want to keep these negative stereotypes and stigmas alive by reposting and regurgitating it online. What you want to do is responsibly utilize your platforms to, share positive things about your world. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, news about celebrities. It could be you doing something positive as an individual, your positive accomplishments and things you're working on individually, people in your family, people in your community. Play up the positivity. That's what I mean by when I call my listening audience my narrators. It's basically telling our story in a positive way. Not to be confused with a moderator. A moderator is somebody that kind of regulates an online platform. Like if you got a Facebook or a YouTube channel or whatever, you get trolls in there that want to keep up havoc, and they want to try to intentionally get your page demonetized or canceled altogether. So they just, kind of stir up the pot, start arguments with people and all kinds of stuff. But, that's not what I mean. I don't mean my listening audience is my moderators. I mean, they're my narrators. They're my, audience of storytellers. They're telling the story of our people, the true nature of our people. And what is the true nature of our people? The true nature of our people is, who we truly are in nature, which is like kings and queens gods and goddesses of the universe. So yeah, that's what I mean when I refer to my listening audience as my narrators. Um, because the media has been vilifying our people before social media, before digital media, before television, before radio. They was just like intentionally misappropriating our images and our likenesses to perpetuate negative stereotypes and stigmas about us. Now, why do they do this? Why is the media so hell-bent on destroying our images and our likenesses with the media, with trying to influence, people outside of our culture's perception of us? They do it because they're ran by the powers that be. And who are the powers that be? The powers that be are upper class, elite society, the wealthy elite society, aka, wealthy white people, six figures or better crowd, used to being born with preferential treatment, literally with a silver spoon in their mouth. They want to basically, they want to be the image of wealth. They want to be associated with sophistication and class and etiquette and refinement. And to do this, they basically want to make everyone else appear to be trash when compared to them and the way they live and what they worship. And they worship status symbols. They worship, the big giant house, the mansions. They worship the yachts, and the $1.3 million cars, and that's the lifestyle they represent, the jet-setting lifestyle. Mass consumerism. Capitalism. That's what they represent. They want to basically program and condition everybody's mind to believe you cannot, function if you're not, a millionaire or better. Like there's nothing else in life other than money, Like money is just, going to define you as an individual. So they want to worship these status symbols. They want to worship these overpriced, European fashion, clothing lines, and, all this junk that you really don't need. That's what they're representing, and why they have such a problem with our people, the original people, the natural people. They don't need any of those things to thrive, don't need any of those things in order to be trendy and cool and hip and with it. We don't need any of those things that define us. That will influence others to see the world the way we see it, because we're the most influential, impactful people on the planet. And so everybody always tries to follow our lead. And so when nobody's interested in consumerism and just like living life, just having just what they need, like, waking up, hey, I don't need to just buy this just because I got some money in my pocket. I'm going to go buy like a $50,000 car or a $100,000 car just because I got $100,000. I'm going to buy a $60,000 a $1,200 garment just because I got $1,200, or spending money just because you have money. You know, we represent an end to all that. We represent the end to their world. Not only that, they're aware of their history and they're aware of our history. They know without us, they could not exist. We are the reasons of why they, how they acquired their financial wealth. We are directly the reason on why and how they established their systemic power. And their biggest fear is when we stop fighting amongst each other and start unifying and start moving on one accord, we'll slowly reclaim everything they took and are currently taking from us and turn around and do to them what they've done and what they're currently doing to us. That's the biggest fear. But it's an ill-gotten fear because that's not the nature of original people. You know, it's not in our nature to subjugate anybody. It's not in our nature to isolate anybody, to ostracize anybody. Everything we do is about inclusion, elevation, progression. You know, it's levity, clarity, focus. You know, we're not warlike in nature. We're not conquerors by nature. We don't, you know, we don't have a history of rewriting history. We don't have a history of, you know, subjugating people. We don't have a history of forcing our beliefs and values on people. We don't have a history of lying, rape, murder. They're the ones with that history. So our entire existence, why they're so troubled by us, is it's a guilty conscience, where that constant reminder that to them of everything they've ever done, every low down, despicable, rotten thing they've ever done. And even though they have all this financial wealth, they can't ever get, you know, an ounce of peace. That's why they walk around stealing other people's identity. You know, they can never just be complicit with what they have. They want to steal that sauce. They want to steal that unique rhythm everybody else has. So that's why they surround themselves with all these status symbols to validate themselves. But I digress. Next point about the Narrative podcast that I want to make, this is a positive space. I don't engage in negativity or gossip or slander. I don't promote, you know, denigration of our people in any way, shape, or form. It's all about, you know, uplifting, delivering uplifting content, motivational content, inspirational content, you know, basically celebrating everything we are as a people. That's what the Narrative podcast is all about. I don't, you know, feed into negativity and gossip and slander. I don't promote that on this platform. So like when people within our community is going back and forth with each other about something, about an issue, like, you know, you won't hear the latest updates or me putting my 2 cents in in whatever is going on within a beef with 2 individuals within our community. So I don't promote that. I don't endorse that. I don't stamp that. And I encourage all my listeners to not make room for it in their lives either. Dedicate their platform and their content to fanning negativity within our community either. But, I'm definitely not trying to police other content creators because, a whole lot of people within our community, their platforms is like of gossip by nature when they're like, so many mediums where they're, promoting celebrity news, which usually just translates into gossip. Like me, myself personally, I don't have any need for it. I don't care about who's dating who's got a baby by who. It don't pay my bills. Ain't none of my business. I don't care. But anyway, basically said all that to say the Narrator podcast is the positive space for original people. I'm just sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture on this platform and encouraging all my listening audience to, dedicate their platforms to share positive content about our people and our culture as well. Another thing that I quickly want to point out, this isn't a platform where, I care about what people outside of our culture think about our people and our culture. I'm not here to, get validation from them. Not seeking validation. I'm just here to tell our story in an accurate manner and make sure we get represented accurately. And, if you want to tell our story, tell it right. If history hasn't taught us anything, if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So if you want to tell our story, tell it accurately. And what's accurately, tell us, the true nature of our people. And I just told you the true nature of our people, kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. That's who we truly are as a people. And that's how we always need to be represented by all mediums outside of our own. So like I said, while I do not indulge in gossip and slander, I do tell the truth on here. So if there is the exception to that, if there is somebody within our community that I feel is intentionally misrepresenting our images and our likenesses for personal gain, and I will call said individual out. But other than that, I don't do any name calling, mudslinging. As a matter of fact, I deliver commentary on current events quite a bit, and the only real reason I deliver the commentary is to basically accentuate a point that I'm trying to make. And everything that I try to, everything that I say here on this platform is just like the why. Like if something negative happens within our community, I'm just coming from the perspective, this is why that happened. And I'm always, pointing out the systemic reason why that is. We've been programmed and conditioned to react and respond to each other in a certain way. And we got all kinds of receipts to prove it. The powers that be, use all forms of media to mess with our minds, programming and conditioning us with music, television, literature, books, religion, and all sorts of other things. So what do you think is going to happen when you keep on jamming all this negativity on us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? How do you think we're going to behave? How do you think we're going to engage and interact with one another? How do you think we're going to see ourselves? They're affecting our self-image, the way we view ourselves. That's the perspective that I try to focus the lens on the Narrator podcast is the why. So like, if I bring up a famous person's name, it's never to clout chase or to insert myself in the conversation. It's just to illustrate, like, here, look at them playing this game in our face, and they're using this person to do this, X, Y, and Z. That's all. Last order of business, before diving into the content this evening, I refer to our people. I know you heard me say it over and over again as original people. I refer to our people, and by our people, I mean Black people, African American, Negro, whatever you want to call us, whatever you want to refer to us as, like, our people, you know what I mean? So I refer to our people as original people, and I do that for two specific reasons. First of all, the historical relevance behind it. We were and are the original people of this planet. There's not one single place, continent that we didn't already originally inhabit. We was already originally here. We was the first people here. We lived everywhere. We basically started civilization. Also, originally, we invented everything. We invented written language, spoken language, buildings, all, like, everything you can think of, it could be like linked back to us some type of way. We originated pretty much everything. We originated civilization. We were the first people here. We lived everywhere. And then the sub point that I want to tack on to that, it's a constant false narrative that they want to keep on trying to make slavery the most poignant part of our existence, the most relevant part of our existence. They want to just make it seem like slavery was such an integral part of who we were as a people, when really it was such a minor thing. Like, our existence began with slavery. Because, like I said, being the original people of this planet, we existed on every single continent you can think of originally. Especially here in the Americas. Especially here in the Americas. We didn't get to all these other places via slave boats. Like, while slavery was in fact a real thing and it really actually did happen, while slavery was an actual real thing and it actually really did happen, it just played a really minor role. Like, especially our involvement in it, they always try to punt, well, Black people had slaves too. Like, no, we had prisoners of war and we had indentured servants. We didn't have slaves. Their time was up after a certain period of time. We didn't just keep them forever, and we didn't whip them and make them live in substandard conditions. After a certain time, they was allowed to just go on about their business. We didn't own slaves. We had prisoners of war and indentured servants. But that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But I just want to point out They just keep on trying to perpetuate that false narrative of slavery, especially here in the Americas, where like they want to just keep on saying all of us came from the continent of Africa when the majority of us was already here. They just started calling us black and putting us on plantations. Definitely every Spanish-speaking nation in the world already there. There's no such thing as an Afro anything. There's no such thing as an Afro-Latino, an Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Chinese, Afro-Mexican, Afro-whatever. There's no such thing. That's just the original indigenous people of that land. That's who was there first. So anything lighter than an Afro, whatever, those are the invaders. Those are the colonizers. Those are the people that came much later and started setting up systems and government in place to put themselves in power. But anyway, so final point about the historical relevance of why I refer to my listening audience as original is because, we was here first and we was originally everywhere first. Second reason why I refer to our people as original people on this platform is to just highlight, our unity, or it's an attempt to, get us unified. Just something, a universal thing to refer to ourselves as, because like I said, being original people, we all hail from different land masses, speak different languages, believe in different views, religions, ideologies, upbringing, cultural upbringing, whatever. We're all different in a capacity, but the one thing where we're similar at is we're all original people. We can all trace our origin back to the original point of origin for all creation. We have that melanin that binds us, unifies us. We can all look in the mirror, we're all different shades, but we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin because of that substance called melanin, carbon, aka melanin, kind of unifies us and gives us our unique identity. So, that's the second reason why I refer to our people as original people here on the Narrator podcast. You can refer to yourself as whatever you want to, the listening audience. If you're comfortable calling yourself black, go ahead, call yourself black. You're comfortable calling yourself Jamaican, Nigerian, whatever you're comfortable referring to yourself as, by all means, keep on referring to yourself as that. But on my platform, Narrator Podcast, I refer to our people as original people. That's it, and that's all. I think I've pretty much covered everything that I feel you need to know about the platform. If I glazed over anything, or if you're still kind of hazy about what I'm trying to do here, I'm well over 300 episodes in. So, you can just download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. So, without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content this evening. So, like I said, for my listening audience that's been keeping up, I broadcast once a week. I've been broadcasting once a week, my weekday episodes, and then one time during the weekend. So, with so much negativity and drama happening lately, I decided to ramp up my efforts to put positivity back into our community by doing more weekday uploads of the Narrator Podcast. So what I'm going to do is just start uploading weekday episodes of the Narrator podcast more frequently. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do, 2 to 3 uploads during the weekday, just to kind of put more positivity and more emphasis in spreading positivity. And then definitely still doing my full episodes during the weekend. But definitely I'm going to try to start being more pronounced during the weekday. But yeah. Oh, well, the very last thing you need to know about the Narrator podcast is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour for broadcasting, and the purpose of me doing that is so I can cover a wide array of topics. And then also, this is an audio platform. I don't want to bore my listening audience to sleep. I want to keep everything fresh, consistent, concise, to the point, and keep my listeners attentive, with the content. But like I said, I'm about to dive into the content because I'm like almost over my time limit that I set for myself now. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive right on into the content. This is a weekday edition of the Narrator podcast. And what I tend to do during the weekday to stay true to my mission statement, which is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. I share positive news articles during the weekday that I come across. And the reason why I do that, because also, like I said, at the beginning of my synopsis, is we're constantly being bombarded with negativity. We're constantly being shown negative news stories regarding our people. Like we're always being shown getting carted off to jail, getting unalived, committing crimes against one another. They always want to show us downtrodden, down bad, disenfranchised. And so, to reverse that narrative, the reason why I share the positive news articles is just to put out the positive frame of reference that positive things do happen within our community. We do have leaders within our community. We do have people striving to make change. We do have people triumphing in the face of adversity, overcoming obstacles, giving back to the community, being examples that it can be done. You can overcome your environment to do something great in life. And that's why I share the positive news articles. And then after I'm done with the news articles, I deliver commentary. And the reason why I do the commentary, because like I said at the beginning of the breakdown of the Narrator podcast, is just basically to reclaim the narrative, because the media go out of their way to have us looking and sounding all kinds of crazy. And so when I'm commentating on current events, whether it's globally, whether it's nationally, or whether it's something just specifically within our community, it's just to reclaim the power, because the media have us, go out of their way to make us look, to have us looking and sounding crazy or overly sensitive or, whatever. But anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content this evening on the Narrator podcast with my very first article of my weekday edition of the Narrator podcast. Here we go. First article of the evening, the headline reads, Twin sisters from Texas make history, graduates at the same time with master's degree. And the sisters' names are Kenyara and Tiara Watson Love. And they are from Houston's 5th Ward in Houston, Texas. And both of them were majoring in speech language pathology. The twins were also active in a group called Cow and Socks. The article did not say what the acronym for that means, so I'm going to try to look it up right quick. I'm not going to take too long looking it up, but I'm going to try to find it for proper context. Well, you guys, I couldn't really find out what those groups were. I'm guessing they were just like interactive groups to enhance the curriculum that they were taking for their speech pathology degree. So I'm thinking they're like, interactive classes online or something, but I don't know what those groups mean. But, let's give a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Kenyara and Tiara Watson Love for graduating with honors for speech pathology. All right, moving right along. Black family, next article, the headline reads, Black family makes history, creates innovative coloring book about financial literacy. And the inventor of this fascinating, innovative tool is a brother by the name of Chris Fisher, or Fish, as he likes to be called, along with his wife and 3 children. The article didn't list his children's names or his wife's name, so I'm just giving it to you how I find it. So the name of the coloring book is called Coloring the World of Power and Profit Politics. Wow, that's a whole lot of P's. Try saying that 5 times fast. The focus of the book, the coloring book, is to help the user with financial terminology, give them information about, the fundamental basics of savings and investments. It's basically just a 101 guide to get you familiar and acquainted with, financial literacy. And that's something we are severely lacking within our community. Is just not enough resources about financial literacy, because like most of the content creators out here don't want to give up the ghost. They feel they have to, give you a $800 and $900 and up webinar just to have you acquainted with financial literacy, not teaching you how to acquire financial wealth, but just getting you, on the same page, like getting you comfortable with the terms and everything, just the 101 basics. And that's wrong. We need to stop doing that in our community. Like, you don't got to charge an arm and a leg to share the little bit of knowledge that you're sharing. Especially when it's not guaranteed you're going to turn a profit. But anyway, this is a very innovative approach to teaching individuals about financial literacy by adding levity to it, in the form of a coloring book, basically just saying it's easy, even a child can do it. And, not for nothing, coloring books for adults is like really new wave right now. I don't know if you ever heard of art therapy, but, that's a form of art therapy. They use art therapy now, like doing arts and crafts like clay, like making clay pots, paper mache, for your emotional, to clean out your emotional baggage and everything. But being broke is kind of emotional baggage. There's something spiritual about that if you just never have money. So yeah, but that's a form of art therapy, if you ask me. If you want to know more about this coloring book, you can go head over to powerprofitpolitics.com for more information about that, or contact them directly for inquiries, interviews, or potentially to partner with them at operatorsadmin@powerprofitpolitics.com. Let's give it up. A warm Narrative Podcast round of applause to our brother, Chris Fisher and family for their innovative coloring book, Coloring an Essential Coloring the World of Power and Profit Politics. All right, moving right on along. I'm keeping it super short tonight, guys, because since I'm going to be planning to do more weekday broadcasts, I'm just like keeping it super short tonight, up until my full broadcast on the weekend. So I only did like 3 articles this evening. And then I got some commentary that I want to touch on and not, keep you too long this evening. The next article, the headline reads, and I believe that's my last article for the evening. Twin sisters buy plantation to protect Black history. And the twin sisters' names are Jocinta. Pardon me if I messed their names up. Like they got some unusual names. Jocinta, Joe Banner, and Joy Banner. They're both natives of Louisiana. They grew up in the bayou. So they decided to buy a plantation, not just any plantation, a plantation where an uprising happened. That commemorates the 1811 slave revolt. And that's another thing I want to, go on a little tangent about, again with the media manipulating the narrative, because like they just keep on bombarding us with, all these slave movies. We don't ever hardly see any movies about slave uprisings. They just want to, keep on circulating the image of the fearful Black slave. And, a lot of people, well, why did they never try to get their freedom during? They did. We have so many, we got examples, we got like all through slavery, they was having uprisings and revolt during slavery, but it didn't get recorded in history because they want to just keep on perpetuating this, negative image, this false image of the docile slave. Like we just accepted being slaves, and we didn't try to fight back. You know what I mean? But there was all kinds of uprisings in the South that just didn't get properly documented and recorded in history. But I digress with that. I just wanted to give you full context on that. So yeah, it was the Woodland Plantation is the plantation that the sisters acquired. It was the plantation where the 1811 slave revolt happened. So the people on the slave when they revolted, and this is crazy, the crazy part, because the internet wasn't around way back then, of course, television and all that, but they were inspired to revolt because they heard about the Haitian uprisings way over in Haiti. They're in Louisiana, but this is how closely they were connected with the ancestors, because a whole lot of, slaves came from Haiti as well, in Louisiana, that Gullah Geechee culture. But they were inspired by the Haitian movement, and that's what led to the uprising at that particular plantation. And the sisters wanted to, buy that and preserve that, and tell the rest of the world about the uprising that happened in that time era. But they're fighting an uphill battle because that particular plantation is surrounded by a lot of industrial warehouses, and they're spewing industrial waste. So that particular part of it where that plantation is located in Louisiana is referred to as Cancer Alley. And inhabitants of that region, it's an EPA hazard. They got high concentrations of lethal airborne chemicals from all these industrial factories that surround that plantation, and in the residency in that area, that people develop cancer. That's why they call it Cancer Alley. So not only are they historians, they're also environmentalists. So they're trying to fight social justice and environmental justice as well with their nonprofit organization. They're trying to, educate people about cancer, about, how, you can contract cancer by being around hazardous materials. So that's what they're doing as well with their nonprofit organization. And if you want to know more about their project, you can go over to the descendantsproject.org. You can donate or just, read about the literature that they have, or volunteer if you live in Louisiana. So that's it, and that's all. Let's give a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for the twin sisters, Josita Jo Banner and her sister Josie Banner, and the Descendant Project. All right, so like I said, that was the end of the articles for this evening. And now we're going to dive into My last section of the Narrator podcast, which is the speaking point section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm speaking about current events. And the reason why I'm speaking about current events is because, to reclaim the narrative, because the media will have us, go out of their way to make us looking and sounding all kinds of crazy or delusional or just, overly sensitive. So, in this section, I'm just unpacking whatever is going on in the world, no matter what part of the world is going on in from our perspective, through our eyes, whatever's going on in the news, whether it's nationally, regionally, or globally, just like, I'm unpacking it from our perspective. All right, so diving right in. The internet is going crazy once again from our favorite culture vulture, DJ Vlad of Vlad TV. So Mr. Vladimir just recently had a back and forth X debate, because he formerly Twitter, so I guess used to call him Twitter fingers. He was a Twitter head, but now they call it X. So he's going back and forth with this lady on X, a Princeton professor. So he's going back and forth on X with the sister by the name of Morgan Jenkins. And Morgan Jenkins, she is a college professor at Princeton and New York Times best-selling author as well. So she got a lot of accolades, and I'm not going to give you the blow-by-blow, but basically it all stemmed from the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. And basically, the sister said you need to stay out of black folks' affairs. You're white. You need to pipe down and just quit trying to insert yourself into our business, because, he gave his little 2 cents on how he feels about the Kendrick Drake beef. Now, quite frankly, I'm not enthralled into it. I mean, I'm glad I'm kind of semi-glad that the competition is kind of coming back in hip-hop, but it don't do it for me. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing. Like, I turned the corner, I don't really like listening to it. It's kind of like the skill level is there, but it's just like, for what, you know what I mean? It's just like 2 rich guys talking about rich guy problems. Like, I don't, it's not like the Conquest days. It's not like they both in the trenches. Like, I mean, Kendrick, you know what I mean? He grew up in Compton and all that. Drake, he ain't never really, I mean, he did work a job. He worked a 9-to-5 job in Canada, Toronto, before he landed his role, on Degrassi. He was just, he was like, they was working class. His father used to be an entertainer, but they wasn't like millionaires and stuff. But at the same time, that ferocity that I'm used to for the battle rap, I'm not getting that from, their exchange. I'm not, getting nothing to just like fully awaken that hip hop head, that alarm. Now we have a battle. Shots fired. I'm not getting that moment from the Kendrick and Drake, back and forth. Like I'm not checking for it. To be quite honest, I'm not checking for it at all. I'm not checking. Also, I wasn't checking for the J. Cole in the Kendrick or the Drake. Was it Drake and Yeah, it was J. Cole and Kendrick. I wasn't checking for that one either because it didn't really have no, no napalm bomb situation. The skill level was there with the skill level, the mastery of the art form was there with J. Cole and Kendrick, but it just wasn't like really at that dog of war type vibe that I'm used to getting in battle rap from being a hip hop head, but it is what it is. But so basically, the culture vulture just became a vulture, inserting his little opinion in there. The sister sounded off on him, and then it takes an ugly turn because Mr. Vladimir told the sister in so many words he's going to reach out to the faculty. So he's basically like saying, so you trying to say I can't say nothing just because I'm white? Is that what you teach your students at Princeton? And so he threatens her and then follows up on the threat. He contacts Princeton faculty, and longer story short, Miss Jenkins done found herself out of a job, or like in trouble, really hot water. He done went and basically snitched. Like he done screenshotted the little thread and then went to the ethics board over on Princeton, and now she's up for review. Like her tenure at Princeton is kind of up for review now. She's being scrutinized over this little back and forth. Back and forth with Vlad. And my whole thing right now is like, I'm really shocked at all the content creators that they're acting shocked. Like this dude, he's always been doing this. This is like, that's his thing. He manipulates the algorithm, talking about our issues. That's entirely what his brand is all about. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say every single last Vlad interview was horrible up until I stopped, unsubscribed from his channel. Like, I unsubscribed from his channel, like, it was like right in that middle pocket. Like, I was thinking about unsubscribing when he started going in on Jeffrey Owen, who, if you don't remember, his character was Elvin on the Cosby Show. So he had basically made a little snide comment calling Jeffrey Owen a failure because he was working at Trader Joe's. Like, Jeffrey Owen, he really wasn't a classically trained actor. He just went and did a Cosby Show for a whim. It ended up, he was a side character. He became a main character, like had everybody in America fall in love with the character he portrayed as Elvin. But this Caucasian man gonna call this brother a failure because, he moved forward in life. Like, that was a character he portrayed when he was a child. And he had some grown man problems. He worked at Trader Joe's. Hey, you hiring? And it's like a lot of actors do that. A lot of actors, say, this Hollywood stuff, I'm gonna get me a regular job. A lot of actors do that. But for some odd reason, he had the inclination to call this brother a failure. But what made me all the way done with them is he intentionally misquoted Brother Minister Farrakhan for a speech he had gave. He took it all the way out of context, intentionally took it out of context, because this guy's not stupid. He's college educated. He's around black people 24/7. He's like in hip hop, so he knows about metaphors and euphemisms and similes. But because something was uttered about his community, who he's not faithful to, because he says he's an atheist, but he's just like born Russian Jew, but like he got offended and, you know, on his platform expressed his, you know, disdain of, you know, the brother minister's comment, and it was just really a euphemism. It wasn't, he called it on his platform anti-Semitic, you know, rhetoric or whatever. So he got a history of that. Not only brother minister, he's also made anti-inflammatory comments about his predecessor. You know, he's also made anti-inflammatory comments about Elijah Muhammad. He's also made anti-inflammatory comments about the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He's also made anti-inflammatory comments about Al Sharpton and other Dr. Sebi and so many more beloved figures within our community. So, like, I don't understand why everybody's shocked when this dude done made a living making anti-inflammatory marks about people within our culture, the culture in general. And, you know, like, why are we, like, you know, why is all the content creators within our community, like, having a gasp moment? He said that? He actually went as far as to get her fired? He been the ops. Why is y'all acting shocked? That's what he do. He goats people into arguing with him, and then he capitalizes off it. He's a capitalist swine. He's a Jew that eats pork. Metaphorically and literally. So I'm not getting the big shock. Why are we shocked that this dude went out of his comfort zone to spark up a debate, and then when he got the short end of the debate, then he wants to use his white privilege. I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to tell your boss. And you're going to get in trouble. How about that? How you like them apples? You reverse racist. You're a reverse racist. I'm going to tell your bosses you're a reverse racist and you're saying reverse racist stuff to me. I'm going to get you fired. That's exactly what he did. I said it like really ridiculous, but like that's basically essentially what he did. He went snitching to the lady's boss. I am kind of halfway 50-50 on it because, you know, he might not be the illest DJ in the world, but like he is, like it's in his name, DJ Vlad. It's a hip hop beef. So, you know, was he all the way wrong for saying something? I'm not entirely, because like I said, I ain't been keeping up with it. It's like, meh. Across my radar, it's meh. It's like I said, I don't get that adrenaline rush from listening to these disses these days. I'm glad that is trying to make a resurgence, but the energy, like the dudes that's doing it just don't have that intensity. They're just not dogs of war. This is just like, these is like the club bop rappers going at each other. They're not really in the trenches like that. This is just like the club bop. Like, you can only listen to their music when you're fitting to go to the club, excluding Kendrick and Cole and excluding, like, I'm talking about Drake. Like, his music is just not, doesn't have that gritty intensity. This is just like, he like, now don't get me wrong, his skill level there, the way he manipulates his words and, double and triple entendres, he can do some word stitching. But he's just not, as far as a battle rapper, he's just not like a dog of war. He's not that. He said he got some clever punchlines, but it's just like, this is never going to be, for this generation, we're never going to see a no Vaseline again. That had never happened in history again. We're never going to get, a Modi LL. That's never going to happen again. Like, we're never going to get a Nas and Jay again. We're never going to get, ever again in life, like the most climactic battle, like the Biggie, like the Pac hit 'em for. We're never going to get another hit 'em up. We're never going to get a no Vaseline again. We're never going to get, another dollars and cents. We're never going to get another dollars and cents. Like, who else did Quick get this? Because he did House of Pain too, and that was pretty hard. Well, we're never going to get them types of disses ever again in life. So I'm kind of glad a little bit that the diss era is gone, because at the tip of it is just like, brothers playing the dozens, like dissing each other. Like, I get like the competitive nature of hip hop, but then like y'all talking bad about each other, and them damn folks is always listening and recording and observing, and how that translates and comes across. Me personally, I'm just at the stage. I want to see more of us coming together and unifying the hip hop. I want to see a resurgence of the Burn Hollywood Burn. I want to see a resurgence of, the All in the Same Gang. When hip hop, they like, it was a balance. It was like diss tracks, but then it was also hip hop coming together to unite for a common cause as well, using the art form for a common cause to raise money for, bring awareness and raise money for things that we need in our community as well. So it don't always have to be like negative and dissing for us to be entertained, because self-destruction, that was very entertaining too. Those were some good projects. The Heal project, that was pretty dope. Like, there was a whole lot of dope, collaborations in hip hop where they're talking about positive things, not just going back and forth on some sucking MC. But in this particular situation, The culture vulture, he swirled, he flew around the carcass and he picked it clean yet again. What you gonna do? Like, y'all not gonna stop supporting them. People within our community, they're not gonna stop taking their black asses up there and sitting on his couch. So why are we shocked? Y'all not going to cancel or y'all not going to unsubscribe from his channel. So why y'all sitting up there? He got that lady fired. So I don't know. That's just my synopsis on it. It's just like, I mean, we sound good. We sound good and frustrated and angry, but like, are we putting that anger to actual use? Or we just got the little busy internet fingers? Because he's become so financially wealthy, it don't even matter if we, if everybody unsubscribes from his channel, because we done made him so wealthy over the years participating in his content. And that's crazy. And what's more crazy is just the ones that sit up there to act like they don't have, a racist bone in their body. They're not with the agenda. They sit up there up underneath these rappers, go to the club with them, smoke a blunt with them, go to the strip club, get really super intersocial with them, but then in a rare moment, they show their true colors. Vlad keeps showing his true colors. Michael Rappaport keeps showing his true colors. Adam 21 keeps showing his true colors. Like all them dudes do. All them dudes that got these hip hop platforms, they keep showing their true colors in ultra rare moments. But we keep on supporting them. We keep on justifying and legitimizing their BS by trying to spin it. But we're like, well, what's the problem? Why we got a problem with it? You know what I mean? So when we just codify, when we stay on code and just universally stay on code, like people like him, they can't breathe. They won't have, like, they can't have any references, any cadences. They'll be dead. They'll be dead in the water. But no, we keep on just passively supporting him. Our silence is passive support. When we're not, our silent, when we stay silent when they say something foul, that's like passively saying, I rock with that person. So, that happened, and like I personally just don't understand like all the online jaw dropping, like we didn't see this coming a mile away. Like we should have saw his 2 cents coming before they hit the table. We should have already just knew it was coming from him. We should have just sensed it by now. It should be a sixth sense. He always opening his mouth. He done spoke up countless times, inserted his opinions on reparations countless of times. Like how we should like divvy up the money, what we should do with reparations when we get reparations. You know what I mean? Arguing with ADOS. Well, that's it and that's all. Thank you all for listening. This has been my first weekday broadcast of the Narrator podcast. Stay tuned in. I'm going to do another one this week, and I'm going to hit y'all this weekend. So just be prepared, because I'm about to make my presence really, more familiar. So just trying to redouble my effort to put out positive content and inspire everyone that listens to my the Narrator podcast to responsibly utilize their platforms to put out positive content. It's not the end-all be-all solution, but it is a solution, and if enough of us do it, some change will come from it. But this episode of the Narrator podcast is officially over. Thank you all for listening. Keep your ear out for me for another weekday episode of the Narrator podcast, and definitely tune in this weekend for another episode of the Narrator podcast. Just remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast wherever you get your podcast fix from. And the best way to keep up with my newest installment of the Narrator podcast is to follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. And then also on X, formerly Twitter, I'm Halsey Allen on X as well. I stay good at Halsey Allen on X. For YouTube, you want to, it's just my viewer channel, but just, follow me, Halsey Allen. Subscribe to my viewer channel. Click that notification all button, and you'll be notified on my most recent upload of the Narrative podcast, as well as X, because this platform brought uploads to YouTube and X the instant that I'm done recording and uploading. It just automatically uploads to those two. All other mediums where my podcast appears, I have to manually upload it, but it uploads automatically to YouTube and X. So follow me on YouTube and X, and you will be in the loop on my latest episode of the Narrator podcast. And also, I have written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. The Black Card is available on a medium called poetizer.com. So go on over to poetizer.com and purchase my book of poetry titled The Black Card. Poetizer.com is a writing community specifically for poets, but also like if you write short stories, compositions, and journal entries, just innovative people that like to write. That's that community. Go on over to poetizer.com. They have a virtual online bookstore because they have a feature which will allow the users of that community to turn, their favorite pieces into an actual book. And then you can pick out whatever pieces you want from what you share in that community and fashion it into a book. And that's precisely what I did. I fashioned my work into a book. It's called The Black Card. It's available on poetizer.com inside poetizer.com's virtual online bookstore. So do yourself a tremendous favor and go to poetizer.com, visit their online bookstore, and purchase my book, The Black Card. The Black Card is basically an all-comprehensive snapshot of our people and our culture. It's an all-encompassing view about who we are as a people and, everything we go through and experience as a people, positive and negative. You're guaranteed, if you're an original man or original woman, you're guaranteed to find a poem that you can relate to and will resonate with you. It'll make a great gift, coffee table read, travel book. But definitely go get you a copy of The Black Card today on poetizer.com. Go get your copy of The Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Last but not least, I have a poetry blog on blogger.com, and the name of it is hallziespoetrycorner. And my link to Hallzies Poetry Corner is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And the tagline for my poetry blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you will know exactly why. So go on over to, Hallzies Poetry Corner and check it out today. And how you can support me, how you can support my poetry blog is either share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms, across all media platforms, whatever you're active on, share, a poem or the link to my poetry blog. And as well as like it, little heart-shaped like button, click that, and then a comment box, you can leave me a little comment on Hallzies Poetry Corner. But the best way is just share all my poems, across all social media platforms. Now for the visual users on social media like YouTube and TikTok and Rumble and, anything that, you're delivering content in front of the camera, what you would want to do is just probably shout out Hallzies Poetry Corner or the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner. And be like, yo, I just read this dope poem on Hallzies Poetry Corner. Go check it out at www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or the title of the poem that you like that. But again, I guess I kind of grazed over exactly what types of poems I got on there. The unique thing about my poetry on that blog is that it's all spontaneous. It's all written off the cuff. I didn't contemplate on the titles. I didn't contemplate on the subject matter, but they're just so intricate and so detailed that you would think from reading them that I drafted them, wrote them down on a piece of paper and then posted them onto the blog. But that's not the case. All of them was just off the cuff, completely off the cuff, completely unscripted, just in the moment. I'm just writing it as it's coming into my head. Basically my poetry is equivalent to a freestyle rap or a spoken word poem, in a written form. So that's the unique thing about my poem on that poetry blog. But visit Hallzies Poetry Corner and experience for yourself today. I'm going to start, I haven't did any new entries in quite a while because that's just not how my gift works. I don't force the poems. If I got to think about it, that kind of defeats the purpose. So when I get another creative streak, which will be really soon, I'm going to post some poems. But just in case you're wondering, I always write poetry. I got, notebooks on notebooks full of poetry. I write poetry on my device in the note section, the sticky note section on my device. I constantly writing little poems. I got a little feature on my Instagram, those little quotes you can write on. I do a random upload of a poem like that on my Instagram every once in a blue moon. But what I'm trying to say is I constantly write poetry. I don't constantly post on Hallzies Poetry Corner, but I'm constantly writing poems. Just because you don't see a brand new one on there, I'm writing them every single day. Trust and believe that. But anyway, go support Hallzies Poetry Corner, www.mrhallziesblogs.com, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Narrator Podcast. I'll be sure to plug any new projects that I'm working on in the near future. You will be the first to know about that. But thank you for tuning in and listening this evening to Hallzies Poetry Corner, the Narrator Podcast. So remember to download this episode and all previously recorded of the Narrator podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. There's like thousands of podcasts titled The Narrator Podcast. Make sure you're downloading mine, hosted by me, Halsey Allen, because mine is the only one that actually matters. You know, yeah, I'm throwing shots. Mine is the dopest, by far. But, you know, thanks for all the love and support, family. Proceed to the rest of your evening and join me later on this week and this weekend with a new episode of the Narrator Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, and I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end one episode at a time as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast signing off, and it's like that.
To the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.